It was the kind of night when the rain didn't fall softly. It roared, slamming against broken windows and tin roofs, washing the streets clean of everything but sorrow. In a quiet corner of the city where forgotten souls slept under flickering streetlights, a woman clutched her daughter close, trying to keep her warm beneath a threadbare blanket. Her name was Lena, and she had nothing left but that small heartbeat she held against her chest. The child's name was Maya, 6 years old, with big eyes that hadn't yet learned how cruel the world could be. The storm had found them after the fire that took their home, their few belongings, and the man Lena once called her husband. He had left that night, not in death, but in anger, disappearing into the darkness when he realized the weight of love was heavier than the weight of responsibility. The city didn't care for women like Lena. To it, she was invisible, another broken dream in a long line of forgotten faces. She sat by the edge of an abandoned shop, watching the lights flicker from a nearby cafe where laughter lived and warmth glowed behind glass. Every time the door opened, the smell of coffee and bread drifted toward her, teasing her empty stomach. She whispered into Maya's ear, "It's okay, baby. Mama's here. Just close your eyes." But even she didn't believe her own words. Her voice trembled with exhaustion, her lips blue from cold, and the tears that slid down her cheeks mixed with the rain. And then, he appeared. A man stepped out of the cafe holding an umbrella. His clothes spoke of comfort, but his eyes carried stories of their own. His name was Ethan Cole, a man who once had everything: money, a business, a name, but lost the only thing that mattered: his family. His wife had died 3 years ago in an accident, and since then he'd learned to walk through life as though he were breathing but not living. He had learned to mask loneliness behind polite smiles. But that night, something pulled him to look beyond the cafe's warm walls. Through the rain, his eyes fell upon Lena and the small shape beside her. Something inside him stirred. A memory of his wife's last words: "Ethan, don't let your heart grow cold." He walked toward them slowly, his footsteps splashing through puddles, his umbrella shielding both him and his purpose. Lena noticed him approach, and instinctively she pulled Maya closer, eyes wary. She'd seen enough of the world to know that kindness often came with a price. But when he knelt beside her, lowering the umbrella to cover them both, she saw no threat, only quiet concern. "Are you all right?" he asked softly, his voice steady, almost musical against the thunder. Lena tried to nod but couldn't. Her throat ached. We just need a place to wait till morning," she whispered. He looked at Maya, her tiny hands clutching her mother's sleeve, trembling from the cold. "I'll freeze out here," he said gently. Lena lowered her gaze. "We have nowhere to go." Her words were so faint, the rain nearly drowned them out. Ethan hesitated for a moment. He could have walked away. After all, what was one more sad story in a city filled with them? But something inside him refused. He looked at her, then said the words that would change both their lives. "You do now." Lena froze, unsure she'd heard right. But before she could speak, he extended his hand. "Come on," he said quietly. "It's warmer inside." For a moment, her pride battled her fear. She had trusted before, and it had broken her. But when she looked at Maya's shivering face, she realized that sometimes survival meant accepting a stranger's kindness. She took his hand. It was warm, steady, and real. Inside the cafe, heads turned. The contrast was clear: her soaked clothes, her bare feet, her fragility against his calm presence. But Ethan didn't care about the looks. He guided them to a corner booth, told the waitress to bring hot soup and cocoa, and simply sat there, saying nothing. When the food arrived, Lena watched Maya eat with wide eyes, tears spilling freely. Ethan turned away politely, pretending not to notice her trembling hands or the way she whispered silent thanks between each spoonful. Hours passed. The storm outside began to soften. Ethan finally spoke. "You said you have nowhere to go. Do you have family?" She shook her head. "No one left. My parents are gone. My husband—" She paused, voice breaking. "He walked out after everything burned." Ethan's jaw tightened. He didn't ask more. "And you? Do you work?" "I used to. I cleaned houses. But after the fire," she trailed off, eyes dimming. "I stopped being useful." Ethan leaned back, studying her face. She was young, but life had aged her spirit. There was a resilience there, though, something fierce beneath the fragility. He admired that. After a long silence, he said, "I own a small bookstore not far from here. It needs someone to keep it clean, organized, someone who cares. It's not much, but it's honest work. Her eyes widened. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering you a chance, he said simply. Lena couldn't speak. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. No one had ever offered her kindness without asking for something in return. And yet, here was this stranger, this quiet man with grief behind his eyes, giving her hope she didn't dare dream of anymore. The next morning, the storm cleared. The city woke to sunlight that touched even the darkest corners. Lena and Maya followed Ethan to his bookstore, a cozy place tucked between old buildings, the kind of place that smelled like dust and stories. The sign above read Cole's pages. It was small, but warm. Shelves filled every wall, books piled high, and sunlight filtered through a cracked window. Maya's laughter echoed as she explored, touching everything with wonder. For the first time in months, Lena smiled. A real smile. Days turned into weeks. Lena worked with quiet dedication, cleaning, arranging books, greeting customers shyly. Ethan watched her transform, not just the shop, but the air itself. The bookstore began to feel alive again. And slowly, he found himself healing too, through her presence, through the sound of Maya's laughter, through the warmth he thought he'd lost forever. One evening, as the sun painted the city in gold, Ethan stood by the window, watching them. Lena looked up, caught his gaze, and smiled. Thank you, she said softly. For what? Oh, for giving us a place to belong. He looked at her for a long moment, then said, Sometimes home isn't a place. It's people. That night, after closing the shop, Lena found an old frame in the back room. Inside was a photo of a woman, Ethan's late wife. She placed it carefully on the counter. She must have been wonderful, she said quietly. Ethan nodded, emotion thick in his throat. She was. She believed every soul deserved a second chance. Lena smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. Then maybe she sent us to you. From that night on, the bookstore wasn't just a business. It became a sanctuary. Strangers came in, drawn not just by books, but by the warmth they felt when Lena greeted them, or when Ethan read stories to Maya in the evening. People whispered about the man who opened his heart to a mother and child in the rain. But to Ethan, it wasn't charity. It was destiny. Years later, Cole's pages grew into something more, a community of souls who found refuge in kindness. Maya grew up surrounded by stories and love, her laughter filling the same walls that once held silence. And every time someone new walked in, lost and weary, Lena would offer a gentle smile and say the words that once saved her.